How to get rich at any age. I've always been fascinated by wealth. Not the showy kind, but the quiet, undeniable kind that whispers of freedom and choices. Maybe it started as a curiosity, maybe as envy. Either way, I realized early that getting rich wasn't about luck. It was a path, and every path has its trials. I was 23 when I truly understood what it meant to chase wealth deliberately. Fresh out of college with a degree that promised stability but little thrill, I decided to diverge. I had no inheritance, no connections in finance, no secret formula. All I had was ambition and a restless mind. That night, lying awake, I asked myself, how can I make enough money to never worry again? And for the first time, I didn't ask about how fast or easy it would be. I asked about the path I could endure without losing myself. The first step was observation. I watched entrepreneurs, investors, creators, anyone who seemed to move with purpose. They weren't just lucky. They understood leverage, timing, and risk in ways I had never appreciated. I read voraciously. Books, blogs, reports, and obscure articles about money and psychology. The more I learned, the more I realized that wealth is less about numbers and more about decisions, discipline, and patience. I started small. Freelance gigs, side projects, learning the mechanics of online businesses. Each tiny success wasn't thrilling in itself, but it taught me about systems, how money flows, how opportunities compound, and how consistency beats impulse. My first few months were exhausting. I worked from dawn until late night, often feeling I would collapse from fatigue. But there was a rhythm in it, a pattern forming, a sense that each effort was building towards something greater. By the second year, I had accumulated enough savings to experiment. I invested in small startups, using what I had learned to assess risk without blindly trusting hype. Some ventures failed harshly and abruptly, but each loss was a lesson. I catalogued them meticulously. Why it failed, what signals I missed, how I could anticipate better next time. The pain of losing money was sobering, but it was also clarifying. Wealth, I realized, is never about avoiding mistakes. It's about learning faster than others and adjusting. Networking became a crucial skill. Not the superficial kind, but genuine relationships built on shared interests and trust. I attended conferences, seminars, and informal meetups. Not to impress, but to understand. I listened more than I spoke, and over time, doors opened. Mentors appeared, colleagues collaborated, and opportunities arrived. Not because I was flashy, but because I had cultivated credibility and insight. In this world, authenticity and expertise attract capital far better than bravado or empty promises. By age 25, my ventures began to generate meaningful revenue. Not $1 million yet, but enough to validate the strategy, research, calculated risk, persistence. I reinvested everything, avoiding temptations of immediate gratification. Friends celebrated nights out. I celebrated growth in spreadsheets and projections. The discipline was relentless, often isolating but necessary. I had realized that to get rich at any age, patience and strategic thinking outweigh luck and charisma. Digital assets, e-commerce, and investments in early-stage startups became my playground. Each move was calculated. Risk assessment, projected ROI, and contingency planning. I treated wealth accumulation like a game of chess, always thinking 3 steps ahead, always preparing for unseen consequences. Mistakes happened, but each one became a lesson recorded in mental and digital notebooks. By 30, I had not only accumulated capital, but developed an internal system for evaluating opportunities, managing risk, and sustaining growth. This system, more than luck or timing, is what allowed my wealth to compound. The first million arrived quietly, not with fanfare or celebration, but as a confirmation of all those late nights, research, failures, and recalculations. It wasn't a point of arrival, it was a checkpoint, a moment to pause and reflect. I realized then that getting rich at any age isn't a formula or secret, it's a mindset, discipline, foresight, risk management, and resilience. The financial milestone was tangible, yes, but the true achievement was mastering the process that made it inevitable. Looking back, I see that the journey requires more than knowledge, it requires introspection. Recognizing personal weaknesses, controlling impulses, avoiding shortcuts, and accepting responsibility for every decision are as essential as understanding markets, investments, or business models. Wealth without self-mastery is fragile. Wealth built on strategy, insight, and personal discipline endures. Continuing my journey, the real lessons in wealth emerged not from the first million, but from what followed. As revenue increased and investments multiplied, the pressure became more intense. Every choice carried greater weight. Every miscalculation threatened more than money. It threatened credibility, trust, and personal equilibrium. I had to learn quickly that getting rich at any age isn't just about money. It's about endurance, foresight, and self-control. I faced setbacks that tested more than my financial strategies. Markets fluctuate, clients delay, partnerships falter. Each failure could have been catastrophic if I hadn't prepared contingency plans, diversified investments, and maintained strict discipline in resource allocation. It was in these moments of instability that I understood the subtle difference between wealth and security. Wealth can vanish in an instant, but systems, habits, and resilience endure. Relationships became a mirror of my evolving priorities. Some friends drifted away, unable to reconcile my obsession with ambition. Others grew alongside me, learning, collaborating, and celebrating incremental victories. Romantic relationships proved particularly challenging. Finding someone who understood the tension between risk-taking and reflection was rare. I realized that wealth isn't only about money. It's about the people who can walk with you, even when the nights are long and the stakes are high. Mentorship was invaluable. I sought guidance from seasoned entrepreneurs who had navigated similar paths. Their insights went beyond spreadsheets and revenue reports. They spoke of patience, timing, emotional intelligence, and ethical compromise. I began to appreciate that strategy without reflection is dangerous. I adjusted my approach, balancing aggressive growth with sustainable practices and integrating ethics into every decision. Investments grew more sophisticated. I ventured into real estate, stocks, and emerging technologies. Each move required analysis, patience, and a willingness to wait for the right opportunity. Short-term gains were tempting, but I learned to prioritize compounding results over flashy wins. Discipline became my most valuable asset. Every decision was logged, evaluated, and reconsidered. The habits formed during these years would outlast any single venture. Failures remained inevitable, but they were no longer devastating. Each misstep was a lesson in humility and strategy. I embraced them, reflected, and recalibrated. By 30, my net worth had crossed multiple million-dollar thresholds. Yet the real achievement wasn't the number. It was the mastery over self, the ability to navigate complexity, and the patience to allow growth to unfold naturally. I had learned that wealth is as much a mental discipline as a financial one. The final insight came gradually. Money alone does not define success. True richness includes health, relationships, and the freedom to make choices aligned with personal values. I began to invest time into learning, wellness, and connection. The balance was delicate, but achievable once I accepted that wealth is a tool, not an end in itself. Looking back, the journey to getting rich at any age is less about shortcuts and more about mindset. Observation, calculated risk, persistence, reflection, and ethical decision-making form the foundation. Mistakes are inevitable, but they are also instructive. The process is continuous, demanding constant adaptation, self-awareness, and emotional intelligence. If I were to offer advice, it would be this. Start early if you can, but it's never too late. Study relentlessly, embrace failure, build systems that endure, and never compromise your character for temporary gains. True wealth emerges from patience, discipline, and strategic insight, not luck or shortcuts. Thank you for listening. If you found value in this story, please subscribe to TailHub for more insights on wealth, growth, and the mindset needed to succeed at any age. Your support makes a difference.